I'd like to tell you a story today. It's a tale of how, in just a few short years, the Detroit Symphony Orchestra emerged from some of the most difficult trials in the institution's history to become a stronger, more vibrant organization, an organization that has never been more excited about its future. We did this by establishing and pursuing new heights of artistic excellence, by reinvesting in our relationship with our audience, by connecting with our community on their terms and in unexpected ways that broke the unwritten rules of what a symphony could and couldn't be, and, as I'll focus on now, by embracing and creating new opportunities to engage digitally with our audiences. Because in 2010, while the institution was in the midst of a 6-month labor stoppage and Orchestra Hall was still dark, while some on the outside had given up but those inside knew our future was still bright, our board posed a simple question, yet an incredibly complex challenge. Could the DSO become the most accessible orchestra on the planet? Our board believed that by answering that call, we could change the perception of our institution, accelerate the rate of recovery, and thrive. 4 years later, we're working every day to answer that call. The DSO Live ecosystem of digital experiences, anchored by our unique commitment to live stream all of our performances globally, has deepened our engagement with local audiences while creating tens of thousands of new global fans. I hope that by hearing our story, you'll take away some ideas for how your organization might also break new ground. But before I tell you our story, I'd like to share with you 2 simple yet powerful facts about the DSO audience that validate why we've invested so much of our time, money, and infrastructure into engaging in the digital space. And let me be specific about what that investment included. In 2010, the DSO was one of the last major American orchestras not using Tessitura. So along with that clarion call for accessibility, the board approved a plan that included the resources to convert to Tessitura, recognizing that ambitions are only as realistic as the tools in place to support them. Now here are those facts. In 2011, 76% of the DSO audience watched some form of video online, such as YouTube, Netflix, Vimeo, etc., with 47% watching daily or weekly. Today, that number has grown to 91% of the DSO audience that is watching video online. In 2011, 62% of the DSO audience used social media, with 47% doing so weekly or daily. Today, 77% of our audience uses social media, with 65% checking in weekly or daily. Don't listen to the naysayers. Our audience is online, so it is our responsibility to meet them there and provide them with content, relationship-building tools, and transactional capabilities that are easy and even fun to use. I would bet the trends are similar at your organization. The 2012 NEA Public Participation in the Arts Study found that 6% of U.S. adults watch, listen to, or download classical music online. If that doesn't sound like a lot, consider this. In Metro Detroit, 6% of the adult population is 171,000 adults. Only 35,000 Metro Detroiters attend our classical concerts each season, so those 171,000 adults are a pool of potential audience members 5 times the size of our current audience who are already consuming classical music. They just happen to be doing it online instead of at Orchestra Hall. These are people who can be consumers of our product if we can find the right way to engage them. With that context in mind, let's now dive into the DSO Live story, told via 3 of our digital channels. Let's start with our Live from Orchestra Hall webcasts. Since a video's worth 1,000 pictures, let's take a look at this brief clip of a DSO performance captured on our Live from Orchestra Hall webcast series. We produced our first live webcast on April 10, 2011. Our local public television station hauled in crew and equipment on a moment's notice so we could go live to the world during our first concert weekend back from the 2010-11 strike. We recently produced our 75th live webcast using a newly installed 8-camera robotic production system, a first for any American orchestra. Over these past 3 years, we've reached a cumulative viewership of 550,000, tuning in from over 100 countries. 15,000 subscribe to our webcast emails over and above our local email list. And we manage all those email lists through Wordfly to help us better analyze that audience. We've quadrupled our fan bases on Facebook and Twitter. Most impressively, we've received 2 7-figure endowment gifts to fuel our digital media work, along with operating support exceeding $1 million over these 3 years. Our webcasts operate at break even. We've deliberately built a brand for our webcasts, and we've distilled that brand down to that one audacious statement you heard me say earlier: the most accessible orchestra on the planet. Here's how we try to realize that brand through our webcasts. Live is always free. There are no entry barriers. We don't even require an email to sign in and view. We host social integration right on our player page, and our team is interacting with viewers live during every webcast. We've developed portability across devices: desktop, tablet, app, and over-the-top devices like Apple TV and Roku. We actively court distribution partners to multiply the channels for viewing any given webcast. Finally, accessibility and openness are expressed through the content and tone of the webcast, both on stage and behind the scenes. We're casual, relatable, and fun, words not generally associated with cultural institutions. We strive for a warm artistic point of view. Our artistic director of webcasts focuses on close-ups and musician faces, providing those unique angles you wouldn't see in the hall. We strive to be informative. We go beyond the music, pre-show, at intermission, and after the concert. And finally, we proudly carry that Detroit flag, interviewing intriguing personalities and highlighting our city's distinctive accomplishments. So how do our DSO Live webcasts generate marketing benefit and PR exposure for the DSO? When it comes to public relations and crafting the DSO narrative, the webcasts serve as our institution's calling card. We tell our story and we share our art directly with the world without any filter. Our digital initiatives have been a key spark in generating national and international coverage. They help us cut through the noise and stand out, capturing the attention of, to name just a few, the New York Times, Gramophone Magazine, the Associated Press, the LA Times, and the New Yorker. We're also able to funnel our webcast content into unique channels that add depth to our promotional reach. We've been featured on the Jumbotron at Comerica Park, the home of the Detroit Tigers, for 2 consecutive postseasons. And when our music director Leonard Slacken was a guest on Charlie Rose, he brought a clip along. He didn't just have to talk about what's happening in Detroit, he could show the audience just what this orchestra is all about. One of the first questions I always get asked is if webcasts hurt ticket sales. Let me unequivocally state no. In fact, our webcasts both strengthen relationships with existing patrons and help us attract new audiences. Ticket and subscription sales continue to grow. Since we began webcasting 3 years ago, we've seen our subscription base grow 27% and our single ticket sales base grow 16%. We hear from so many subscribers about how the webcasts have enriched their DSO experience by giving them an additional outlet to connect with the orchestra, one which complements their live concert experience. Overall, 40% of subscribers have watched a DSO webcast in the past year, and nearly 75% are familiar with the product. Of course, our webcasts are just one piece of the puzzle. In addition to being a medium for watching concerts, we've discovered that the webcasts are another component of a comprehensive marketing and promotional effort. They work alongside radio, direct mail, print, telemarketing, and traditional e-marketing to fuel our continued audience development growth. Let's now pivot to how we engage with our fans via social. We are genuinely interested in our audiences. In the arts world, we've often been too slow to share control with our audiences, but we need to hear their stories from their perspective. We want them to show the world their own DSO experience. In one effective case at the DSO, we launched a contest in spring 2014, #DSOSelfie. This campaign was devised by our digital media team of Eric Woodhams and Corinne Wiseman. The concept was simple. Following on the ubiquitous trend of selfie pictures, we asked our audience to take pictures of themselves at DSO concerts and events and then to share them with us. The fans who shared the best pictures would win tickets to DSO concerts. And look at the winning couple from April 2014. They're young, they're beaming with joy, and they want everybody to know about how much they love the DSO. Can you imagine a better advertisement for our orchestra? Here's one great thing about this campaign. Eric and Corinne had an idea and they ran with it. We didn't convene a committee or run through endless layers of bureaucracy, they just did it. Digital engagement often provides an opportunity for quick, targeted grassroots action. And here's something else. Usage of the DSOSelfie hashtag is still widespread, even though the campaign has ended. The audience loved the idea so much that they've now made it their own. In fact, even our musicians have made DSOSelfie their own. One of our highest performing posts of 2014 on the DSO Facebook page was this picture of our expanded horn section for Mahler's Third Symphony, taken by DSO horn player Joanna Yarbrough. Joanna originally posted this picture to her newsfeed and received hundreds of likes. When we shared it on the DSO page, the likes quickly grew into the thousands. Now, let me tell you about our IKEA flash mob, an activity with both a physical and a digital impact. Again, there's no substitute for seeing the video, so let's take a quick look. This was a joint musician and staff-led initiative. Gabrielle Pochadlo, our communications director, and our bass clarinetist Shannon Orm devised this publicity stunt together. And I should note that we don't shy away from that phrase. We are unrelenting in generating coverage for our orchestra. The reason we chose IKEA, besides being an ideal spot to surprise and delight unsuspecting community members, is that this IKEA is located in the Detroit suburb of Canton. Last season, the DSO was about to launch a new subscription venue in Canton, the 7th in our popular neighborhood series, one of those post-2010 initiatives that's reinvigorating our organization. So the flash mob and the accompanying video were an opportunity to draw attention to our new commitment to that Metro Detroit community. Once we posted the video to YouTube and our other channels, it exploded. Not just from a social standpoint, where the views, likes, and comments rushed in, but from a PR standpoint as well. A number of national outlets, including NPR Weekend Edition, were inspired by the video to file stories about the DSO's innovative approach to community engagement. And by the way, the Canton series sold out in its first season. Again, this video is not the reason why it sold out, but it's a critical piece of the promotional pie. So what's the strategy behind our social campaigns? In many ways, it's the same commitment to accessibility and openness that I detailed with our webcasts. It consists of writing with a strong and consistent online voice, relying on content-based postings, video, photos, and valid information that's relevant to both our audience and the DSO. We don't engage in like bait. We build narratives that travel across platforms with content tailored to each channel, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and more. From #DSO Live to #DSO Civic, that's our youth orchestra, and many more, we use hashtags to amplify content and draw in new audiences beyond our followers. We encourage sharing. You saw that very clearly in our DSOSelfie campaign. We build relationships via two-way communication, and we're genuinely interested in our audience. We make the most of direct response and follow-back techniques, and we always try to remember our regulars. In sum, we are working to foster the community within, We love nothing more when our audience engages with each other. Finally, I want to touch briefly on what we're doing in the world of web plus mobile. In August 2014, the DSO launched an updated website, our first major refresh since 2010. This update looked to incorporate two of the most important trends we were noticing with online audiences in general and with our own DSO audience. One, the desire for more customized web experiences, what I like to call the Amazon effect. And two, the move to mobile devices, tablets, phablets, smartphones, and now even smart watches by a rapidly increasing share of web consumers. The funny thing about online customization is that when we really get it right, all we'll be doing is providing the same type of personal service to our patrons that our development departments have been expertly providing to our donors for years. But we'll be using the power of technology, particularly the robust capabilities of Tessitura, to democratize personalized service on the website, at the box office, at a lobby kiosk, wherever you can imagine. That Tessitura mantra, if it isn't in Tess, it didn't happen, will become even more important when our patron communication platforms will all instantaneously and expertly adapt each patron's experience to his or her unique background. We took an important first step in enabling web customization with the introduction of our constituency-based website experiences. When a member of our governing members, our Leadership Donor Society, logs into DSO.org, the website changes to our exclusive black and gold color palette. Here's what our homepage looks like to a first-time visitor. And now here's what it looks like when I'm logged in as a governing member. The homepage now displays the governing member's logo, welcomes the patron by his or her name, and most importantly, provides services exclusive to that individual, pre-sale opportunities, waived ticket fees, and more. The other constituency we're testing this with right now is our student card holders. Starting this season, we've empowered them to take their entire DSO ticketing experience online. Students don't want to call the box office, so let's not make them. As for that other web trend, the move to mobile, this is another example of the DSO taking seriously our responsibility to go where our audience is going. According to a recent La Placa Cone study, 66% of cultural attendees own a smartphone and 64% own a tablet. In 2011, those numbers were only 20% and 18%. It's an astonishing rate of growth, especially compared to the earlier numbers I shared about online video and social media. And not only do folks own mobile devices, they're using them to shop. If we look at the U.S. marketplace in aggregate, 15% of all online orders in the U.S. were made with a mobile device in 2013. Let's look at the DSO numbers more specifically. Our mobile traffic has nearly doubled each of the past 2 years, from 10% in September 2012 to 22% in September 2013 to 36% in September 2014. And just like with the wider marketplace, sales are also increasing. Last season, we sold 5% of web single tickets via a mobile device. That's 227% growth over the previous year. Now I know what you're thinking. We were obviously starting from very small numbers if we're having that type of growth. Yes, the numbers are currently small, but they're not insignificant. We surpassed $50K in mobile revenue this past season. There's a good chance we'll surpass $100K this year, and I have no doubt we'll be at $500K before we know it. That's a meaningful chunk of a $7 to $8 million sales goal. Future audiences and consumers are moving to mobile, and if you don't believe me, listen to this stat. For our mobile app specifically, which is powered by TN Mobile, a product I've proudly used for years, 60% of buyers are new to system. We're creating experiences that drive our patrons to these mediums. Activities like the DSO Selfie campaign get audiences associating their mobile device with the DSO and considering it as a viable means of interacting with the institution. We continue to evolve our email marketing to match the move to mobile as well, with email design being driven by a mobile-first mindset. Over 50% of our audience is now opening their emails on mobile devices. We don't want to be left behind when mobile is the primary, or perhaps only, method that some patrons use to buy tickets. This presentation has been a succession of stories, but I'd like to close by sharing one last story with you, one that combines our atmosphere of accessibility with just the right dash of chutzpah. In February 2014, our orchestra headed to Florida for a 6-concert tour. At the conclusion of the first concert in Palm Beach, as Leonard Slatkin stepped onto the podium for the encore, he turned first not to the musicians, but to the audience. He asked them to take their cell phones out of their pockets, turn them back on, and feel free to take a picture or some video so they could create a personal tour memento and share their night with the DSO with their friends. It lasted just a moment, but in that moment, Leonard captured the essence of what our commitment to digital media represents. He demonstrated that the DSO is an orchestra that embraces change, that breaks down barriers, that strengthens communities, and that strives to put the audience in the center of everything it does. This candid moment would not have resonated this way, and these overwhelmingly positive reactions from inside and outside the organization would not have poured in without our long-term commitment to nurturing a global digital presence. That is the DSO Live story. Thank you for listening.